Hi, guess who? Um, this is the third video that I've made this calendar year. Um, I really haven't been doing a lot on YouTube. I've been watching videos, of course, but not really making any of my own stuff. And seeing as how the year is almost over, I thought I'd make a video sort of explaining myself there. Um, uh, yeah. My name's Scott. This channel is called CineRam. Talk a lot about movies on here. But I haven't really seen that many over the last 12 months. And the reason for that is I work 5 days a week in the afternoon and evening, which is typically when movie theaters show movies. Now, ever since the shutdown that began in 2020, movie theaters have reopened, but they're not showing movies as often. They're not starting as early, they're not playing as late. So that sort of limits me as far as when I have opportunities to go to the theater. Also, my mom, who's elderly and disabled, lives in a retirement community, and I try and visit her once a week. And she doesn't live close by. It takes me a little while to get there and back again. So usually that eliminates the possibility of going to see a film on a day when I'm visiting her. Maybe I might get to a theater in time for a show, like on the way back. But oftentimes, the travel is a little tiring, and so I'm not entirely sure that I can stay awake for a film, even a big, loud action movie. I might doze off just because I'm too drowsy. So that really leaves just one day per week, each week, where I'm free to go to a theater. Now that's not always the case, but most of the time it is. And I don't cram in 3 movies a day like I used to. Usually it's just 1 movie per day. Like I said, I'm older now. I get tired more easily, drowsy more easily. So if I'm going to go see something, I want to make sure I'm awake for the whole thing. And so yeah, that sort of limits me again. So I haven't seen that much new stuff over the past year. The past couple of weeks I've been seeing more films. But that's kind of been what life has been like for me the past year. And because of that, I haven't been on YouTube talking about new movies because there hasn't been a lot for me to say. I've been watching films, but I've been watching a lot more series. In fact, I've watched quite a few series this past year. I've been watching Yellowstone. Yellowstone I've been interested in. And earlier this year, Animal Kingdom had their final season. I really like that show a lot. Also, Marvel shows and the Star Wars shows on Disney Plus. I watched the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and actually I bought the very last issue of Entertainment Weekly, the last printed issue anyway. They're still a website, Entertainment Weekly, but they don't print an actual magazine anymore. And the last issue had Ewan McGregor on the cover because he was, they were about to have Obi-Wan Kenobi air on the show, on the stream on the service. So I saved that issue because I wanted to show it off in this video, and now I can't find it. It's somewhere here. I don't know where it is. I wanted to, but it's not the end of the world. Anyway, I watched that show, and I watched Andor, and Andor I liked a lot. But I think probably the show I enjoyed most this year was the new season of The Orville, which is now on Hulu. It was originally on one of the networks, and they moved to Hulu. Longer episodes, bigger budget, I suppose. But there's some really, really good episodes on that show. They cut back on the humor. It's more of a straight sci-fi show now. But there's still jokes. As a matter of fact, the last episode of the new season had like the biggest laugh for me. And it was from Isaac. Isaac was the one who was responsible for it, and I laughed really hard. And I've, found a lot of shows entertaining and funny, but those are probably the principal ones that I've been most interested in. Obi-Wan Kenobi is a show that I liked in parts and not in other parts. But I have to say that at the end of the show, the last episode, they had a moment that really kind of finally rationalizes that lie that Obi-Wan told Luke in the original trilogy, when he's fighting Darth Vader, and Vader says to Obi-Wan, he says, "You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker, I did." And okay, thinks of himself as a completely different person, and that sort of retroactively justifies what Obi-Wan said to Luke way back in the first movie that was made. So that's nice. I also watched the making of special. Each one of the Marvel shows and Disney shows, I think, has a making of special. And so I watched the one for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I found some segments of it really funny. Years ago, I watched a featurette that was on a special edition disc for Alice in Wonderland. This is the 1950s Disney animated version of Alice in Wonderland. And there was a segment where they're talking about how the artist took inspiration for the character animation, sometimes from the actors themselves. And they had basically some footage of the actor who did the voice of the Mad Hatter character. And he would basically sit at, a table with some props, teapots and cups and what have you, and act crazy and goofy and what have you. And then they'd cut to the artists who were supposedly watching him perform this way, and they were chuckling themselves and sketching while he was performing. And I watched this feature and I'm going, come on, there's no way. This was obviously staged for the TV special. Because if what they're showing us actually happened, the camera crew photographing the artists would be between them and the actor performing for them. They wouldn't be able to see them because they're blocked by the crew and the lighting gear and the camera and everything like that. And they had, of course, a complimentary angle on the actor himself. So that's two camera crews in the artist's field of view, and they wouldn't be able to see the actor. I'm just like, that's dumb. Okay, so anyway, in the Obi-Wan making of series, they repeatedly go to Ewan McGregor or Hayden Christensen or the director of the series standing in this huge room with this enormous screen watching footage from the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. And there's Ewan McGregor. He's standing there. He's watching these scenes, standing in the middle of this big empty room. And then Hayden Christensen walks in the room. He says, "Oh, hey, Hayden, I was just getting caught up on some of the older films." I'm just like, what bullshit, man. This is all staged for this special. Don't tell me they stood there in this big empty room without even a chair to sit in and watched the movies on this enormous screen with nobody around. It makes no sense at all. Yeah. Anyway, other stuff that's been going on with me. Actually, my job is probably going to be ending soon. I think the building is going to be sold. This is just, something that might happen within the next few months. And if so, I'll be looking for work elsewhere. And maybe my new schedule will be more conducive to seeing movies more frequently. I am, of course, like I do every year, going to make a video about the movies that I'm most looking forward to seeing in the new year. So that'll come sometime in January. David Fincher's got a new movie scheduled to come out. That's going to be pretty high on my list, and a few others as well. Of course, Marvel's got some stuff coming out, and I'm always excited about that. Actually, I thought I'd just mention, as far as the gear that I use, I used to make videos with a flip camera. And what I would do with a flip camera is I would record a video, and then I would use the flip software that I had loaded onto my laptop to trim the video down to just the length that I wanted, and then I'd upload it. And sometimes I would have a multi-part video in which I would upload several pre-cut clips and then arrange them using the YouTube video editor to make a longer video, with several different scenes, several different shots. I've did that a few times. However, I don't have the flip camera anymore. It's busted. Can't use it anymore. So I would use a phone instead. And the video editor allows you to edit videos that are already uploaded, but for some reason I can't find a way to take two separate videos that have been uploaded individually and put them together to make one video. It used to be able to do that, doesn't anymore. So until I get some actual editing software, all my videos are going to be, just a single take, just like they've been. I got a new phone back in December, pretty much 1 year ago. This is it right here. It's I had to switch from Sprint to T-Mobile because Sprint got bought by T-Mobile, and then my 4G phone was not going to work on the T-Mobile network anymore, so I needed to get a 5G phone from T-Mobile that would work on the network. So I got a new T-Mobile phone, and it's got some cool lenses on it. That's them right here. But the sound is not good. If you looked at the videos that I uploaded, the last two videos that I uploaded, one was like in August maybe, or October or September, something like that, and the other one was in January. And you compared that to the ones that I shot during 2021, the sound just isn't as good. So luckily I held onto my old phone, which is what I'm recording on right now, for better sound. So I'll be, recording on that for the time being until if I want to spend $700 on a professional camera, or at least a better quality camera. I'm not going to do that. This is just a hobby. So I have a phone for everything except making videos, and I have a phone for making videos, and I still have my flip phone, which I use as the, for a calculator or a calendar, or maybe as a flashlight. So I still have all that, yeah. And I would still have the flip camera if it worked, because I found that very convenient to use, despite the fact that it would shoot in the square aspect ratio instead of widescreen. I mean, if you're just sitting here in a room talking to a camera, it doesn't really need to be in 16:9, but yeah, that's sort of the standard. So, it's nice to be able to do that. Anyway, I hope the sound quality is good on this. It's been a while since I've used this phone. It's been like an entire year, but I'm glad I held on to it. Yeah, that's kind of what's been going on with me. One other thing. This phone right here, this phone shoots video, but it cuts off automatically after about 10.5 minutes. So I sat in this very room a couple of months ago to do a video just like this. And what I found out afterwards was that the video stopped recording, and then it started a new video while I was sitting here talking without me even knowing. I'd actually had the camera turned around so I could use one of these cool lenses. So I had the screen facing away from me, and so I didn't know what was happening. And when we went back and I saw it was two separate videos, I tried to put them together into one video. Didn't work, of course, couldn't do it because I'm lazy and can't get editing software that actually does that. So here's my little life update here. All my technical issues and my scheduling issues and what have you. Yeah, aside from that, things have been okay. The job has been good. I know it's going to be over soon, but it's been good. Treated me well. And I got to spend a lot of time with my family over the holidays, and some friends who came in from out of town. Got to see them. And my Thanksgiving was good, although I got sick, but I got to hang out with my cousins. Yeah. Oh, I almost forgot. I'm the executive producer on a feature film that has been showing in places all over the country over the last year, and it's going to be showing in more places in the new year. And I'm not really prolific on YouTube, so I haven't been making videos talking about that. More on other social media platforms, mostly Facebook, because that's where my reach is widest. I'm on Twitter, but I don't hardly ever use that. I'm not on Instagram. So yeah, it's primarily just Facebook. Speaking of Facebook, if you want to keep up with me, and I do plan on making videos more frequently in 2023. How frequently, I'm not sure exactly. Yeah, I'd like to sort of get back on the horse and start making videos more regularly, especially if I'm going to have the time to see newer films. I'd have a good reason to talk about them. So yes, like I was saying, Relative is this movie made by a friend of mine named Mike, and I helped out a bit during the shoot, but mostly I just was an executive producer. That's my official credit. And it's been showing here in Chicago, the Chicago area where I live, and it's been showing in California and New York and Florida, and it's going to be showing in Colorado and other places in the new year. It'll be available on streaming eventually, but right now it's just screening. If you'd like to take a look at the trailer, I'll link that in the description, as well as the official site, which has all kinds of updated information on the screenings. And if it's playing in your area, maybe you'd like to go and see it. It's a family drama with a dash of comedy about an extended family that's come together for the weekend because the youngest son is graduating college. Mike is a guy I've known for a long time. And this is his fourth film, and it's the most successful. It's the one that he's happiest with, and it's done very well so far as the screenings go. So that was nice. It's cool. Also, there's another film that I helped executive produce, basically, just like funding, and that is a documentary about Barry Gifford. Barry Gifford is an author, and he's written short stories, and he's also the co-screenwriter of a couple David Lynch films. If I remember correctly, it's Lost Highway and Mulholland Drive. And he wrote the books that that Wild at Heart is based on. Wild at Heart is about a couple of characters played by Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern, and those characters were originally created by Barry Gifford. Anyway, guy also living in Chicago here named Rob Christopher, he directed a documentary, produced and directed a documentary about Barry Gifford and about his life in Chicago during the 50s and 60s, growing up in the 50s and 60s. And so I helped produce that, and that is now available on streaming as well, and I'll include some information on that if you'd like to see that. So, that's about all that's going on right now. Thank you for watching. If you've been disappointed by my lack of presence here on YouTube, I apologize for that. I will try and pick up some of the stuff that I started. I started an Alfred Hitchcock series, and I didn't even get to the color movies. I got through most of the black and white movies, and I didn't get to the color movies, so I'd like to resume that because I'd like to see those films. Some of them I've seen, most of them I haven't, so I'm eager to get to that. But also just to get caught up with films that I've missed, just because it hasn't been, convenient for me to see stuff. I didn't want to put pressure on myself to see everything new. But the new stuff that I have seen, most of it has been okay. Not great, it's been fine. There were a couple movies that I didn't like, but for the most part they've been okay. I don't know if I'm going to do a top 10 of the year or anything like that. I really haven't seen enough movies over the last few years to make a top 10 because there's so much that I've missed. So I see the stuff that I'm most interested in, and that's going to be David Fincher and a few other people, and that video will be up sometime soon in January. Hope life has been treating you well. If you are a fan of Jim Gisriel like I am, I look forward to his stuff, and I'm sure you do too. And as far as other YouTube stuff goes, mostly I've been spending a lot of time watching reaction videos. People watching movies that have been out for a while for the first time, movies from the 80s, 90s, older classic stuff as well. A lot of people were watching Christmas movies over the last month, and I'm glad that the Christmas season is over so they get back to watching regular movies. Just like in October, everybody's reacting to horror movies, They set the camera up and they yelp. Yeah, I would like to do that, except that I would be self-conscious about a camera in my face, plus there's a lot of lighting that needs to happen in order to me to be visible, and so I'm not going to do reaction videos like that. I have been doing reaction videos to the Hitchcock, mostly just me saying, here's what I felt about the movie. It's just basically a regular review, just like the others. There's a number of series, actually, aside from Hitchcock, that I started and didn't really follow up on. I had one that I was going to do on the MCU directors, other films that they've done outside the MCU. That didn't really go anywhere. I did like 3 videos on it, and then I kind of lost interest, I guess. That happens a lot with me, unfortunately. But other than that, things are going good. So I hope you enjoyed this, and again, the next video I make will be most anticipated films of 2023, and I hope that you check out the films that I've been involved in, and help produce, if they are playing somewhere convenient to you. The documentary is streaming. That was what I meant to say. The documentary Roy's World about Barry Gifford, that is streaming right now in a couple different places, so I'll have information of that in the description. Whoops! That's all I've got to say for now. Thank you for watching. Talk to you later. Bye.